All right, so Google Veo 3 and Google Flow are not the same thing, and most people have no idea. Flow reaches 140 plus countries, while Veo 3 hits 73, and that gap alone tells you something real about which one you can actually use right now. Both launched or updated in 2025 and 2026, so the stakes are super current. I'm comparing them across 4 real tests: workflow depth, audio quality, access availability, and cost per generation, and everything traces back to named sources with no vendor spin involved. Honestly, the final score is closer than you'd expect, because these two aren't really competing the way you think. One of these tests ends in a draw by definition, and that changes a lot about how you read the verdict. So who actually cares about this comparison? If you're a developer trying to plug video generation into a product, you need to know which one gives you API access and clean pricing. If you're a creator who just wants to make clips without writing code, you need to know which one has the better workspace, because the wrong pick costs you time or money. And I'd rather you get that right before you sign up for anything. Test 1 is workflow depth. And this one matters a lot if you're trying to actually make something, meaning control camera angles, string shots together, and manage assets across a project. If you've ever tried to do that with a raw API and zero tooling, you know how painful it gets really fast. Veo 3 on its own is text and image to video, API first, and that's pretty much it. Flow adds explicit camera controls, a built-in scene builder for shot continuity, asset management, and a unified workspace that merged whisk and image effects in February 2026. So Veo 3 does camera direction only through text prompts, which is kind of a black box situation, while Flow gives you actual UI controls for that. Google Flow takes this test, and it's not particularly close. Scene Builder alone does something Veo 3 can't replicate without you writing custom chaining logic from scratch. And the one exception is developers, where Veo 3 wins on API access, but for workflow depth as a whole, Flow is the clear winner. Veo 3.0 Flow won after the first test. Test 2 is native audio quality, and this one is interesting because audio sync is actually one of the things that makes Veo 3 stand out from other video models. If the lip sync is off or the sound effects feel disconnected from the visuals, the whole clip falls apart. So how well does each product actually handle this? Okay, so what's really interesting here is that Veo 3.1 runs at 48 kilohertz stereo, community reported lip sync under 120 milliseconds, spatial audio, multi-speaker dialogue, the whole thing. Flow runs on the exact same Veo 3.1 engine with no separate audio stack and no additional processing layer. So comparing audio quality between these two is kind of like comparing the same car to itself with a different paint job. This test is a tie, and I mean that literally, not as a cop-out, because both products run the same underlying model, so the audio output is the same by definition, and there's nothing to separate them here. That puts us at Veo 3.0, Flow 1, with one tied after 2 tests, and the audio debate between these two is just not a real debate. Take this with a grain of salt though. Community testing puts first attempt audio sync success at around 25%, which sounds low, but is directional and not a Google published figure. And short speech syncs better than extended conversation. So for social media, the audio holds up fine, even if broadcast might need some cleanup. The audio is good, just not magic on the first try every time. Test 3 is access availability, and this one matters way more than people realize. If you're not in one of the supported countries, or if the free tier doesn't actually give you the model you want, none of the other stuff matters, and the gap between these two products here is pretty real. Flow is available in 140 plus countries as of January 2026, while Veo 3 via Gemini covers 73 countries at the same point in time, and Flow has a free tier, though bear in mind, it only gives you Veo 2, so you need the $19.99 per month AI Pro plan to get Veo 3 inside Flow. Veo 3 has no free option at all, though developers do get a win since Veo 3 plugs into Gemini API and Vertex AI, while Flow has no API product. Google Flow takes this test on geographic reach, nearly double the country coverage of Veo 3, and a free entry point even if it's limited to Veo 2. And that puts the running score at Veo 3.0, Flow 2, one tied after 3 tests. Flow is just more accessible for more people in more places, and that's a concrete advantage. Test 4 is cost per generation. And this is the one where you really want to get your hands dirty with the actual numbers before you commit to anything. Whether you're generating 5 clips a month or 500, the pricing structure changes the math completely. And one of these products has a gotcha that light users keep discovering the hard way. Veo 3 API runs at 40 cents per second, which is $4 for a 10-second clip, and Veo 3 Fast drops to 15 cents per second, so about $1.50 for the same clip at draft quality. While Flow's Pro tier at $19.99 per month gives you 1,000 credits, and a 10-second clip costs roughly 125 credits, working out to about $2.50 per clip. These are community reported figures, not Google published ones, so treat them as directional. And Flow credits don't roll over, which is a real issue if you're a light user. Google Veo 3 takes this test because the API pricing is transparent, pay as you go, and scales without waste, while Flow's credit system punishes you if you don't burn every credit before month end That brings the final score to Veo 3 1, Flow 2 1 tied. Veo 3 wins on cost clarity and scalability, especially if you're generating at volume. So here's where Veo 3 clearly wins. Developer and API access, it plugs straight into Gemini API and Vertex AI, and Flow has no API product at all. Plus pricing transparency at 40 cents per second is public and clean, while Flow's credit math requires community-reported reverse engineering, and at high volume, Veo 3 fast at 15 cents per second beats Flow's pro-tier math for anyone generating dozens of clips monthly. Now here's where Flow clearly wins. End-to-end filmmaking with camera controls, scene builder continuity, asset management, and the merged whisk and image effects workspace all in one place. Plus geographic reach at 140 plus countries versus Veo 373, a free entry point that at least gets you into the interface with Veo 2, and at low volume on the Pro tier, roughly $2.50 per 10-second clip is cheaper than Veo 3 standard API rate of $4 for the same clip. Okay, so here's the decision rule. Developers building video generation into a product should go with Veo 3 via API, transparent pricing, no credit waste, enterprise scale through Vertex AI. Creators who want camera controls, shot continuity, and a complete pipeline without writing any code should use Flow. And the $19.99 per month Pro tier is a reasonable starting point. I think the honest answer is these aren't really competing products, and that's kind of the whole answer.